first half of the Chiefs-Raiders game last night, a roughing the passer call came against Chiefs defensive tackle Chris Jones on Derek Carr, a call which negated a forced fumble. The referee who called the penalty said after the game he saw Jones land on Carr with his full body weight while the QB was still inside the pocket. Shannon, was this indeed roughing the passer?
No, this is an overreaction to Tua. And this should not be an overreaction to Tua because the NFL and the Miami Dolphins failed Tua. Tua had a concussion on Sunday. He lied and said it was his back, and they didn't properly evaluate him for a concussion. They sent him back out there on Thursday, and he took another hit when his brain was already vulnerable in a vulnerable state. That's what that was about. This was about the NFL and the Miami Dolphins failing Tua Tagovailoa. This was not that play. And so now this is an overreaction. We've got to protect it because we see the head injuries. No, when you sign up for football, Skip, you know things like this can happen. Chris Jones, and I heard Carl Shepard's explanation. He said the quarterback gets protection. Well, when doesn't the quarterback have protection? Tom Brady starts to take off. Grady Jarrett slings him down. It was unnecessary. Now, all of a sudden, Chris Jones comes from behind, takes the ball out of his hand. He tries to brace his fall with his left to keep from dropping all his dead weights because what he's trying to do, Skip, is not touch him so he can take off running with the football because he has it in his hand. But because of where the official is positioned, he can't see all of that. All he sees is Chris Jones fall on top of Derek Carr, and all of a sudden, I got to call a roughing the passer. That is not what that is. And they're getting, but you know what I want to happen? I want this to happen to Jerry Jones. I want Jerry Jones to miss out on the opportunity to go into the Super Bowl or advance into a playoff game on a very call like this. And watch how fast that rule get changed. Because that's the only way it's going to change.
You think Jerry runs the NFL?
I want this, and I'm sorry, Cowboy fans, but I want something like this to happen to Jerry. Because that's the only way. Because what you're doing, Skip, you're asking these defensive players to be the Matrix, to defy all physics. Chris Jones is 300 pounds. So now you want him to take the ball from a man and in the process of falling his momentum at 300 pounds, do like this to land on his side or do like this to land on his back. When the NFL knows and the competition committee knows that's physically and virtually impossible to defy physics in that nature. Skip, the guy, Grady Jarrett, he grabbed Brady around the waist, he slings him down. Now, if you wanted to call roughing the passer, you remember a couple of years ago, Brady got concussed when Khalil Mack slung him down that very way, Skip Bayless.
He did.
Not one thing.
Okay.
So for me, no. And it could have cost them the game because they got 3 points out of that drive that they didn't deserve. Fortunate for them, fortunate that Kansas City was able to win this ball game. But no, at some point in time, and if you want, hey, here's the thing right here. Video, do we got that Denzel Perryman play? Do we got? Okay. There's a play, Denzel Perryman sacks Patrick Mahomes.
He slung him.
Where's the flag?
I was surprised they didn't throw that flag.
I'm not, because it wasn't a penalty. Skip, Dean Blandino offered a very great explanation yesterday. He just said basically a lot of what I said. He said there was no hit to the neck, head, or shoulder area. He said there was no landing of the body weight on Tom Brady. He said there was no hit below the knee. He said there was a no there. He says, I don't know what else you're supposed to do, Skip. So if I can't hit you in the neck, head, or shoulder, I can't land my body weight on you, I can't hit you in the knee, just tell me how am I supposed to get the quarterback down? Am I supposed to just like touch him on the butt, make it like the Pro Bowl? Or do I just shove you in the back? I'm just trying to figure how else do you get a man on the ground? That's normally how you tackle. Tackle, you probably normally going to land on somebody. That's kind of how it is. But I do not agree that this was a rough in the passer call.
Okay, a couple things before I launch back at you.
Okay.
If Jerry Jones runs the National Football League, how is it that my Dallas Cowboys have not made it to an NFC championship game since 1995 season? Do you know how many years that is? Well, Jerry could fix that. If he's in control, he would make that right.
Skip, I mean, I can't make it that obvious when you're that terrible.
Oh.
But I need some. Guess what happened? You see what happened when the catch happened? When Dez Bryant got robbed of a catch, what happened, Skip? You see the rule change. Now, that rule had been in place for how long? Because it happened to who? And you see what happened?
When Tom Brady...
Skip, they say we got the Perriman sack.
Oh, okay.
This is the Denzel Perriman. Yep. Now, I want to know.
Yep.
Oh, hold on, wait a minute.
He slung him.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Yep.
Wait a minute. Wait, where's the flag on NFL?
Yep. Well, I think you're going to start seeing that more and more. That should have been flagged. They missed that one.
That ain't no flag.
Well, I'm just telling you, they missed it. All right, back to Chris Jones. I'm sorry, you're dead wrong about this because I don't love this rule, but that is flat out the rule. He called it by the letter of the law. As Sheffer said after the game, the defender landed on him with full body weight.
I just make my case, drop smack when I'm done. One more can I say, not bite, tell my tongue, I don't like the taste. I'm on in the morning.
Tried to brace himself. He may have tried. He hit full body weight on Derek Carr's throwing shoulder. I don't care what you say. After the game, Chris Jones says, I'm 3-4. He started to say 340 something.
Okay. Big picture.
Okay,
And by the way, but I'm not going to let you slide.
What?
Did you just suggest, or did I hear correctly,
this is a
that Patrick Mahomes is more clutch than Tom Brady is?
Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback playing in 2000.
Or separated his shoulder. Right. That's the classic broken collarbone separated shoulder play. And again, I don't like it. Heck, I don't even come close to loving it, but they instituted it 4 years ago. And we saw it in a Minnesota Green Bay game. Remember it? And we're like, what?
Aaron Rodgers,
Okay.
it was Barr. The guy that said the Dallas Cowboys.
It was Barr on Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And he broke his collarbone. Broke his collarbone. Yes. Okay, and they just said enough of this because our game hinges upon the marketability of the quarterback. They have to sell quarterbacks, and they're going to do everything in their power to protect the quarterback. And then I'm amused by all the bleeding hearts out there wailing about Tua. Oh, you evil, cold-blooded NFL. How can you do this to Tua? Well, then the same people are wailing about this is a terrible call. Well, it's overreaction to Tua because the league doesn't want to come across as cold-blooded and evil. It wants to protect the player. Okay, so here,
no, they want the player out on the field.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Okay. In this case, they want the quarterbacks upright.
Right.
They want them to play.
They've been given specific instructions. It's an objective call by the officials. But when in all doubt, Skip, err on the side of throwing the flag because we want that guy on the field.
That's all they want. And they don't want CTE lawsuits out the wazoo for the rest of their days where people, there can't be a parade to the court system to get even with the NFL for why didn't you protect me from head injuries.
Well, the thing is, I think, Skip, we know a lot more now, especially over the last decade with the movie that came out, and we've seen the ravages and the effects of what it's had on some of our best players. We saw Junior Seau, and we see some of these other guys, Demarius Thomas, with 33 years of age, and he had level 2 CTE. So we understand. But now, Skip, we know going in, this is assumption of the risk. You know there's a risk. If you play tackle NFL football, there's an assumption of the risk that concussions and CTE after concussions could possibly happen. So nobody can say, well, man, I didn't know if I was playing football I could get CTE or I can get a concussion. You know.
Okay, so now I'm going to come across as cold-blooded and maybe evil, but as you know, I am the biggest NFL fan you're going to find. Mm-hmm. But I accepted in my 20s when I started to cover your game from the inside out. It's just a dangerous game.
Yeah.
You just had both your hips replaced.
Yes.
You're actually pretty lucky overall because in the big picture, you actually survived pretty well.
Yeah. I didn't really have a whole lot of done when I was playing, but you had both hips replaced, fractured collar, fractured orbital.
You did.
Torn rib cartilage, that rib protrudes on the left side, both knees scoped, ankle surgeries. Yeah, I've had a lot back jacked up now.
And how many surgeries did Mark Schlereth have?
Probably like 22.
Okay.
23.
It's just hard, man.
Yeah.
And it's almost like...
And do it all over again, too, Skip.
You would do it all over again.
Absolutely would.
Because you loved it, and it does bring you fame and fortune. Not huge fortune, but to a degree, given where you came from, it's fortune.
And my brother was able to get our family up that dirt road.
That is correct. So the beauty of the game is what we just described. The downside is you have to assume risk. I'm surprised that they don't just make you sign
a waiver.
Just sign a waiver. Whatever happens to me happens, and I give it up.
Yeah.
Because it's going to happen. It's not a matter of if. It's just a when are you going to get hurt? Because you're going to get hurt.
You played this game long enough, Skip. And the thing is, Skip, the guys are getting bigger. they're getting faster and they're getting stronger. And the collisions, it's almost like having a collision on the Autobahn. They're not very many, but when they happen, there's normally a fatality because you're going at such a high rate of speed. So, and that's what they try to do. Skip, if you look at the kickoff, they don't let the guys get a running start. When I came in the league in 1990, Skip, I would line up 15 yards. When Treadwell was our kicker at the time, and when Treadwell would kick that ball, Skip, I was in a dead sprint. By the time the guy turned around, I shoved him in his back. I was already past him. And I was going, and I'm trying to hit somebody as hard as I possibly can. And our job was to make him cut back. He cuts back, I need somebody to hit him with his ear hole.
Okay, so to the NFL's credit, they said enough of that.
They said you can't get a running start anymore.
And to the NFL's credit, they took a lot of the blind-side hits out because on sudden change plays, on interceptions, people are so vulnerable. Warren Sapp one time almost...
Clifton.
Oh, God.
Chad Clifton. That's who we got, yeah. And the Keith Rivers play, the crackback block, which is the Hines Ward play, where you can't block behind a play now.
You can't.
When you could, I mean, you look for that.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
But now we're going to the limits of this, where it's gone completely over the edge into you sit back and say, well, it's not even football anymore.
It's becoming like the pro. Because at this point in time, I was having a conversation with somebody in the league. I said, well, these quarterbacks going to play 20, 30 years. Somebody's going to pass Tom Brady. If you protect these guys like this, Skip, you can't land on them. You can't hit them in the knee. You can't hit them in the neck, head, or shoulder area. And I just don't know how you get him down. I mean, the whole thing about tackling, Skip, normally when you tackle somebody, you throw them to the ground. Well, now you can't even throw the quarterback to the ground.
Okay, but on the Grady Jarrett play, all they're going to start asking is, you can't sling anymore, because that's the whiplash play, because Brady was able to miss, but Tua couldn't miss. His head bounced on the ground.
Because Tua had the ball in both hands. Brady was smart enough to know that I'm going. You see, Brady
done this before.
You see Brady stick his arm out.
He did.
He's like, no, you finna slam me on my head.
Okay, so on the Brady thing, his head almost hits the turf, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
It went in that direction.
Yeah.
But Tua's hit the turf so hard, his hands are spasming.
Right.
You know, his fingers are crinkled up because we got neck issues going on. That's what scared me.
And guess what, Skip? Just the Sunday before, when Milano pushed him down, what was the thing that hit? The back of his head.
Whiplash.
So he basically got the same injury with a little bit more G-force than what happened on Sunday. So what did the NFL, what did the Dolphins expect to happen? Oh, there's nobody... But they fired everybody that was they fired the guy that was associated with that. They admit
so you can just watch what's about to happen. They're going to say, if you're going to tackle him, you can't sling him. You're going to have to pull him pull him straight down.
You watch, and somebody's going to break their leg because you talk about a